So here we are on a Wednesday, and there's two games in the NHL. This scheduling is just strange to me. Um, I grew up with an NHL where Wednesday and Saturday, those were your two big days for hockey. And this week is just, yeah, it's strange. It's also strange to me in that having a more regular time when you have your big nights, I would think that it'd improve attendance. And when it's all over the place, certain days of the week, your attendance isn't going to be as strong. It's one of those things, and one of my things to look at is attendance. So, anyways, might be interesting to actually look and see day by day how much attendance is affected. The problem with it is this, though. I know paid attendance is likely the same the whole way across. You're just going to have a lot of season ticket holders that just can't go to games, and thus you're going to have empty seats. And just optically, it just looks so bad. Speaking of empty seats, Detroit is at home to Ottawa in a game that I foresee a lot of red chairs just sitting there. Detroit, in having the bright red chairs in the new arena, it was a bold decision in that it makes it really obvious when there's a lot of empty seats. And again, I understand paid attendance. Just from an optics perspective, it looks kind of bad. It makes it look bush league. If you tuned in to watch a game and it's between any two teams in any other league, and you see just like a half-empty arena, you're going to wonder about A, the health of that franchise, and B, you might start thinking, well, this isn't that big a deal because nobody showed up. And Ottawa's not going to be a big draw. Ottawa's 12-17-8 right now. Detroit's 15-16-7. Howard's starting against Anderson. Anderson's had mixed results. Howard's been very good. And if Detroit was going to make this radical decision about, okay, we're not going to make the playoffs, find a taker for Jimmy Howard. Somebody will take Howard. I understand then you're going with Mrazek. I understand by going with Mrazek that Ken Holland would probably be considered crazy at that point. But you could bring up Carreau as the backup, and Howard could fetch a decent return. Jimmy Howard's having a pretty good season. The only issue with that is this. If Detroit is going to turn around next year, if you can look as a Detroit fan and say, you know what, with the core that we've got, with the young guys coming up, this ship can get turned around next season, you keep Howard. If this is a long-term rebuild idea, then Howard is more expendable. Anderson, and I know he is like this emotional leader and this a great story from last season, but it's been hard times for him this year, and I sometimes wonder if a change of scenery would do him well. And yet, I believe he's at 36 right now. The odds of him having a renaissance somewhere else are fleeting, unless he channeled the spirit of Dwayne Rollison, which would probably upset Dwayne Rollison because he's probably still using it. All right. In other news, these guys, the Rangers, wearing what's probably the ugliest hat in my collection, at home against Chicago. Chicago has Glass. The Rangers have Lundqvist. And it's an interesting tale in that Lundqvist isn't that much older than Glass, and this is Glass's third game, and it's not Lundqvist's third game. If Glass can win this one, if Chicago can go into New York and beat the Rangers, that'd give Glass 2 wins in 3 games and definitely the inside track on a backup job. There are enough teams right now with goaltending issues that if Chicago had to put Glass on waivers, he wouldn't pass through. It's like Mike Condon last year, where he's kind of a forgotten guy and whatever, and then all of a sudden, oh hey, he looks pretty good, and he's not going to pass through waivers. Forsberg actually has a better chance of passing through waivers in my eyes than Glass, even though Forsberg is 8 years younger. Somebody likely takes a shot at Forsberg, but Glass, I don't know. Be interesting to see what happens. And with the Rangers, they are tonight the only team in a playoff spot that's playing in either game tonight. Detroit, of course, is I think 7 points out. Ottawa's sitting 12 points out. Chicago's not that far out. They're, I think, 4 points out, 3 or 4 points out. And the Rangers, of course, are the number 1 wild card in the East. It is a night of two games where if Detroit wants to get into any kind of consideration for, hey, maybe they can make it, you have to win this game. For Ottawa, that maybe they can make it talk is gone. Ottawa's just trying to figure out exactly how they're going to make this work from here on. And when I look at where Ottawa's record is, I wonder if signing Alex Burrows to a 2-year deal, which was a goodwill gesture, if maybe they're regretting it right now. Because I don't think he's necessarily tradable, and yet I believe he's been a healthy scratch recently. Not a lot of games, but I believe he's a healthy scratch at some point. So he has fallen out of favor in Ottawa, much as he had in Vancouver before the trade. And for Chicago, they really need to win this. So this rookie kid right here, who's 32, Jeff Glass, can start becoming kind of a legend of Hasek-type proportions in terms of coming out of nowhere and suddenly being a star goalie. Hasek didn't come out of nowhere for people who were European fans, but for a lot of us NHL fans who didn't know Hasek, yeah, it kind of came out of nowhere, especially when he went to Buffalo, because it was at the time conceived that maybe he'd be a backup, not the starter. Glass has literally basically just happened. He's kind of fallen into our laps, and we'll see what happens from here. And there you go. So those are the two games for tonight. Let me know who you think's going to win, who you think's going to lose. If you say Ottawa's going to lose, well, they've lost 25 out of 37, so you're probably got a good shot at being right. Anyways, thank you guys for watching. Hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through, and I'll talk to you again soon.